Hello, I'm Carnivore, and this is Wargame European Escalation. This game is one of the largest tank battles I've ever been a part of. And I'm going into it with my same force. 4 tanks. 4 cavalry fighting vehicles for reconnaissance. 2 Flak Panzer Gepards. 2 AMX Roland 2s. I believe I brought along a couple extras. We had a lot of points to play with. My Abrams are fully vetted. Bradleys are fully vetted. So are my Flak Panzers and my Rolands as well. I've got a Gazelle for recon, a command helicopter. I'm going to drop it up there in Lima. My goal here, as always, is to win, of course, but once you get in the habit of winning, you start to shoot for a few other things. And my goal throughout probably my last 100 or so games has really been not to lose units. I'd say that probably the vast majority of my games, 75% or more, I take less than 1,000 casualties. Probably more than that. Probably 85% of my games I take less than 1,000 casualties. My goal is to take none, of course, but I'd say probably a good half of my games I'll take less than 700, less than 500, somewhere around there. This game's, the focus is going to be no different, but it's going to be a massive battle against a ton of tanks. I'm talking 40, 50 tanks versus these 4 Abrams, versus these 4 Bradleys, versus my 4 mortar carriers. These guys are crucial. The thing is not the Abrams. I mean, it's an excellent tank, but really any tank will perform well if you know how to use it, and you know its limitations, you know its strengths. So I'm going to be pushing up the right side here, straight up into Oscar. My teammate here is really not going to do too much. He's just going to sit and defend the middle of the map there, which that's great. That allows me to focus on what I do best. It lets me take the brunt of the enemy forces. So the enemy, just starting off, they've got a lot of tanks. But they're mostly, thank God, non-ATGM tanks. They will be calling in a good bit of artillery, and that's going to help them out, but it's not going to win for them. I'm going to capture Lima and just have this close supply point here. We'll switch to my view. You'll see exactly what I see. So as usual, my AMLs and my HIMPs are up front. I do use these guys to kind of, as an advanced scout, really just want to get them into position quick, because I do have this Gazelle. I'm not worried about them getting surprised. Haven't spotted anything yet. My goal was to get to Oscar, but then I see this. I'm going to call everyone back into these 2 bushes. See, I've just realized what's happening, and I'm getting my guys the hell out of there. I was afraid of getting helicopter rush this time, which is why I think I brought these extra Rolands. They will come in handy, but it was a little bit overkill. So right now I'm seeing just how many tanks the enemy has. I want my AMLs going ahead and putting pressure on the enemy. He doesn't know if it's heavy artillery or what, you know, You just don't like having your tanks shot at. And still, it helps to kind of keep the enemy on his heels. They are going to take down my recon there. And their heavy artillery is coming in now. My Bradleys, they are extremely effective. That is why I vet them all the way up. I need super accuracy on these guys. I need those ATGMs to hit on the first shot, especially if we're fighting against enemy ATGMs. And the bonus that I was able to vet my Abrams all the way up, well, that's just huge. That means that a smoothbore cannon is going to hit majority of the time first shot, and it's deadly. Their artillery is getting a little too accurate for me, so I do pull those guys out. But just my AMLs and having these guys on this flank right here have managed to push the enemy into the bushes here. It's made them take a defensive position. Now I do have the luxury of my teammate who is firing artillery on their position as well. Now he assumes I've still got guys here, so he's trying to push this flank around here. But kind of saw that coming, and I also didn't want to get massacred by that artillery, so I did move these guys. These 7 T-72s right there, well, 5 T-72s, they pose a pretty big threat. I mean, they're close enough that they should be pretty accurate. The problem is he keeps them moving. He could have put some real pressure on my Abrams, and I mean, he has. I've got one that's almost exploded, but there's just so many tanks. I can't hold that close of a position, so I pull everybody back. My Bradleys are a big concern of mine. They haven't taken too much damage. I probably should have parked them there and let them snipe these T-72s, because I will take a shot that kills one of my Abrams. And that was a painful loss. But my Bradleys are still alive. Everyone else is still alive. And that's what my Abrams are for. They're there to soak up the damage. Well, these Mi-24s are not going to stay up for long against this much anti-air. I was hoping that my Abrams would reverse instead of turning around, which is, you know, it exposes a lot weaker armor. But you can see there's just still a ton of tanks coming. I'm trying to keep my Bradleys in cover because they are within gun range of these enemy tanks, but I also need them to help cover this retreat. I should have left them in the bushes there, but they're going to do their job because the enemy doesn't have a ton of reconnaissance. And, I mean, look at that accuracy. So I've got Super Chinook down here, as well as my Hemps are there, just resupplying my vehicles. I haven't really been able to resupply my Abrams yet. My Bradleys are within cannon range of these guys. We've really got to halt this advance here, because I don't want them to get into Lima, and I don't really have a ton of places to go after this. You see that T-80, super dangerous, gets popped by these Bradleys. That's what they're there for. Number one, they're there to kill ATGM units. Their range isn't quite as long as some of the packed ATGM units. But They have great reconnaissance ability. They're crucial to my effort. One of the nice things about these Abrams is also that they can fire very effectively on the move. And of course, keeping everybody vetted like this really helps when you're under heavy artillery fire. Just owing to the sheer number of these enemy tanks, I'm still having to fall back, and I'm about to get pushed back against the lake. But my AML-60s actually come through pretty well here and force the enemy not to hide in the bushes there. That's really what these guys are about, is denying the enemy locations, worrying and panicking their units. It really helps you shape the direction that the enemy will move in. Now with these guys all panicked, they're inaccurate. My Abrams, they're panicked. My Bradleys are panicked. But they're highly vetted and extremely great machines, fighting against some not so great units. So they were pretty easily able to hold their own there. I did call in an Apache. I'm not a huge fan of the Apache. Number one, with a force like this, I think it's almost cheating to call in an attack helicopter. But the havoc on the pack side is so freaking good. It carries so many TGMs that the Apache is just, I don't know. It's I don't have that much respect for it. So we've halted the enemy's advance. Unfortunately, my teammate has helicopter rushed up behind their lines, denied me the pleasure of counterattacking, which is really bullshit. I hate helicopter rushes. Whether they're from my team or the enemy team, I think it's a really weak, and it's just a really weak thing to do, and it kind of shows your skill level. But you can just see against these 3 T-72s just how quickly these guys can take down pretty damn well armored tanks. These guys over here have just about run out of gas, and we're pretty much going to forget about them. But I will get everyone refueled, and we should be taking off here shortly. I think I called in this Cobra to clean these guys up. I didn't want any surprises. So thankfully his helicopters are retreating. You can see he's just kind of hanging out over there. In a stalemate with the enemy. I do use my Gazelle and Apache. The way I always use attack helicopters, I almost always pair them with the reconnaissance helicopter, because they're pretty useless if they can't see, and they will get shot down pretty quickly. So my guys hit the road, and we are going to push back up to where we started. I don't like taking my armored units, or really any units, close to forests that are occupied by the enemy, but with this much force, it's pretty safe. Plus I had pretty good reconnaissance of the whole place. I knew what was in there. So we roll up, get my Bradleys a little too close, and luckily they don't get taken out. So I just push my Abrams straight on. Bradleys are going to pick out stuff in the forest here. You see they're having a hard time finding some of this stuff. So just gonna have to push. Have to go all in. I know the enemy shouldn't have too much left there, and luckily they didn't. Now we're down to weaker, older tanks as a defensive line. They're struggling to call in T-72s, and my Bradleys and Abrams are just going to clean these poor guys up. So you can see that my teammate's helicopter rush is still going strong. Just kind of, I don't know, just kind of dicking around over there. One good move by our enemies is that they did drop off special forces, and I believe they'll get his command vehicle because the only defense it had is all grouped together and distracted away from what they're planning to defend. Now, 4 artillery, some supply trucks, and a fob. There's not much defense left on this side. We're going to push through this pretty easily. I don't really get what my teammate was going for with this. It's got these starships, which I don't really care for in the first place. ATGM Dragons, they're good, but they're all out of ammo. And he's got mortars. What are you going to take with this? Like, what are you going to capture? I mean, this is an attacking force. You're in an attacking position, right? It's not an attacking force. You have no air cover. It's just people do things that baffle me sometimes. So anyway, I've captured all these supply trucks. The enemy does bring in a lot of tanks here at the end. I'll have to look and see exactly what they do with them, but if I were in his shoes, they would get peppered around this forest. And I'd try to tuck them in pretty deep so that they couldn't get picked off from range. I would want their guns within range of my vehicles before my vehicles were in range to fire on them. Instead, he sends them out to die. And, I mean, that's just... I feel bad for those poor guys. Now, this unit, or these 2 units, that's what they needed all along. Those guys scare me. Their ATGMs have extremely long range. So right there I'm calling in infantry to clear this forest. I don't want to send my tanks in there. I don't know what's in there. But as soon as I see these guys, rush. Got to. No choice. I gotta rush my tanks. Gotta rush my Bradleys in there. I can't run from them. I can't try to outrange them. They've got me beat. And those missiles are deadly. He did get a pretty good hit in on one of my Abrams there as well. So now my Pumas are arriving. They're going to drop off this infantry. I'm going to clear that command vehicle. Just like that. Command helicopter is there. we were blocking them from calling in reinforcements, but it's ours now. We have a direct line of reinforcements behind their lines now. Puts them in a pretty damn bad situation. I just loaded these guys back up. I was going to move them back, drop infantry here, and hopefully get a little recon on what's going on in Gulf. This game's not going to last that much longer. And these guys are just, I think I just kind of park them. I decided to send my armor, instead of sending them across through here, through an empty India, I want to send them down into November. Kind of relieve some of the pressure on my teammate. I always try to look at it, whether it's a points game or a time game, as, you know, a total destruction, no time limit game. I don't pay any attention to the clock. I don't pay any attention to the points. And that's it. So huge tank battle there. Pretty decently even match. I know we kind of out numerically ranked them there, but that doesn't really mean dick in this game. You can see this is what I aim for. I actually took higher, casualties than I wanted to. Mainly probably from losing that last AA unit, because I did vet those guys up so much. They cost a lot of points. Didn't take many losses. Dished out a lot of pain on these guys. My teammate, I mean, didn't matter. He played a pretty poor game, but I didn't need him. And in fact, I mean, he actually helped me, because he kept one of the guys off my back at least, or he kept them away from our bases. He kept a line out here across the middle of the map. That's all that really mattered. I hope you enjoyed it. This may be my last European Escalation game for a while. I'm going to focus on some more of the new stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment if you want to see more. Subscribe it and like. Bye-bye.